Or we've covered creativity, originality, memory, advocacy, trust, and the Beige Code itself. So, for our final session, we're ending with the thing that ties all of this together: how we show up as people. Jack Hubbard, founder of Propellernet and Dream Valley, talks about what he calls the human algorithm, a mix of emotional intelligence, self awareness, and empathy that still shape how we lead, communicate, and build relationships, no matter how much automation sits around us. So, in this conversation, Jack explores why emotional intelligence still outperforms automation. He talks about how openness and self awareness build trust and culture, and what it looks like to lead with humanity in this AI heavy world. Jack, fantastic to have you with us here today. So, we've spent the whole day talking about automation and sameness, but you've built your businesses around people. What keeps you so convinced that human connection still matters most?
Well, it's all about human connection. My life's all about human connection. The best part of my work is the people I work with, and that's at the heart of my business plan. Is spending time with those people and the things that we get up to together. But business at its fundamental is value exchange between people. Back in the day, I might give you a chicken and you get to eat, and you give me an axe and I get to chop wood and keep my family warm. And it's not about the axe. Might be about the chicken. Might argue it's about the chicken, but it's certainly not about the axe. It's just a tool that helps us meet our needs. And yeah, we live in a world where we have a lot more advanced tools than that, but they're still fundamentally tools that are there to create value exchange between people. So the purpose of my business, Propellernet, and all the sort of spin-off businesses, Coverage Book in particular, and Dream Valley, the business I'm setting up here in the mountains, it's all about making life better. That's our sort of fundamental purpose, and that's all about human connection. So I was never the ultimate business person. I always felt I needed to hire people that knew what they were actually doing, and that was all about, okay, well, if they're going to come and work for me and give me their best years, then I need to make sure that I'm doing my best to give them the best possible experience. And with that same philosophy, we sort of embody that within them to provide the same for their clients. So their clients are human beings as well. You know, they have jobs, they have career aspirations. They're looking to get a promotion or keep their job or enjoy their work, and we need to help them look good. We need to help them, do better work and make their life easier so they can get home early and enjoy their holidays without any stress. So that's at the core of how we look after our clients. And then from a marketing perspective, we have to make life better for our clients as well. Propellernet's a marketing agency, so we're not just in the business of clickbaiting. We're in the business of finding out what's a useful, meaningful experience that our clients can create for their clients, which drives some kind of positive experience and positive change for their clients. So at the heart of everything we do within our business, it's about creating value. It's about making life better. That's the mantra that we use, and all these tools, yeah, like are just tools that can help us achieve that. Our values are quite human values as well. It's all about, so it's like well-being is like the very core of what we do, and fun. So we try not to take ourselves too seriously. We want to have fun, have a bit of a good time. Work can be a bit too stuffy and serious, and by taking ourselves not too seriously, we have a better time. But also focusing on our well-being, looking after ourselves and each other. And for a long time, we've been doing all kinds of things around that with nutrition and yoga and massage, and to the point where we're asking our team, what are your hopes, dreams, and really trying to understand, if they're going to stay with us for 10 years, what do they want out of life effectively, and how can we facilitate that. Our other values are creativity, adventure, and innovation. If you have a culture of fear where you're not having a good time and you're not looking after people's well-being, I think it shuts down that sense of adventure, and
Mm.
it shuts down that sense of creativity and innovation. We've been going since 2002, and with that culture of kind of playfulness, it's the reason I set up the company in the first place. Like, I worked for a few other companies and they just stifled that energy, and we just wanted to create this work environment where we just let that energy just flow and bubble around. And it's really led to a culture of innovation where we've kind of like led the way from the sort of early SEO years, we were the first agency to hire PRs to do PR-based link building back in
Mm. Oh, yeah.
2008, before anyone else had even thought that was something you could do, and that kind of set us up for the next 10 years, because we sort of led the market there. There was another guy that really wanted to build some tech, and we got behind him, and we built two technology companies: one coverage book, PR reporting tool, and Answer the Public, which pulls in Google data and gives you an instant snapshot of the of what the
Mm.
world is thinking regarding to a particular keyword area. We sold one of those, Answer the Public, because we wanted to focus that. We could have built that into a much bigger company, but we're like, you know what? We quite like our 10-person tech business. We don't
Mm.
want to be 20. The people that are running that business are really happy with that size. So let's sell that, take some chips off the table, and just, enjoy a nice life. And that tech team, they only do a 4-day week. That was one of our goals, to get to a
Mm.
4-day week. So it's very
Okay.
calm, no stress. We have no external investors. We're doing a 4-day week. We just work on the next sprint, and it's been going since 2011, that tech business, and it's now become the sort of like the gold standard for reporting in the PR industry. So by yeah, I guess by focusing on making life better and human connection, we attract the right people. They stick around. They feel secure, and they're able to create value for our clients. And that's led me to be able to follow my dream here and live in the mountains, and make life better for myself in return. So, and all of that's all through understanding each other, and what our dreams are on a life term, and what do we want, how we want to live on a daily basis.
I mean, it does sound like you're building a kind of human version of an algorithm. Wellness, creativity, fun. I mean, you mentioned making life better for your people so they can make life better for your clients. So it's not just about growth. What can other founders or leaders learn from this mindset?
Um, I think it's easier when you're independent, because you get to make the decisions. I think a lot of corporate-owned companies tend to be run by accountants and lawyers, and they distill things down to they see shareholder value only in financial terms. Really,
Mm.
there are some progressives who look at triple bottom line accounting, but mostly it's about money when they talk about shareholder value. And that tends to be the primary sort of business dogma out there, is like, if you're either one of those companies or you're aspiring to be acquired by one of those companies. So that's the mold that even small independent companies tend to try to operate in, but it's a trap. Um, Remain independent and look at shareholder value differently. You're going to be working for a good chunk of your life. So rather than sacrificing your kind of like the relationships and how you work and the projects you work on, rather than doing those because you feel that they're going to give you a financial return, in exchange for hopefully an early retirement, a bigger house, or a faster car, maybe.
Mm.
Instead, like, design that into the day to day of how you work and who you work with and what projects you work on. And then you can start to say, okay, rather than, if you look at the business in its entirety as a tool to make your life better, rather than just the financial output of the
Mm.
business as a resource to make your life better, then suddenly it opens up a whole world of interesting possibilities.
I'd like to talk to you about something you've spoken about before: emotional intelligence. I mean, everyone's talking about AI intelligence, but you've said emotional intelligence is what makes work better. What does that look like in practice, and how can leaders start building it into how they operate?
Yeah, I guess emotional intelligence. I guess it comes back to paying attention. Like those first principles that we talked about at the beginning. It looks like business is a source of value exchange. Business is a source of value creation. These tools are just a way um, to achieve that, and we've got better tools now than we ever have had in history. We've
Mm.
never we've never seen the likes of these tools before. It takes an effort to create something, but now it takes less of an effort to create something. The more ideas that we have now, we can create. So we should be having this kind of golden age, right, for creativity and from that abundance, really. It just comes down to imagination, really. That's the human. We're the ones that are going to imagine what we want to achieve and what we want to create in this world. And I think imagination should be tuned into human need, should be tuned into emotional intelligence. What we want to bring, what do we want to achieve in our own life? I mean, for me, it's connection, creativity, contribution. Freedom is very important to me. So how,
Mm,
and it's not the same for everyone, but okay, so how can we use these tools to achieve that? But it seems like so much kind of doom mongering and
mm,
clickbait. That's you only need to go onto LinkedIn, for example, and it's like there's a lot of negativity, and I think people are scared. I mean, even in Propellernet, people are genuinely scared. They don't know what's coming, and that just shuts down imagination. In my opinion, I feel it sometimes. I'm like, oh my god, this is
mm,
like there's a pressure to check in every day to see what's the next thing, how things are changing, and there's this narrative, there's this kind of sense that that there's this kind of wave coming. There's this kind of tsunami. Let's call it a tsunami
yeah,
that's
yeah.
coming.
Mm.
And a lot of people were talking. I took a mini retirement in my 40s to explore them. I've moved to the mountains. I'm in the mountains now, a place I call Dream Valley, and I took a retirement because while I'm able-bodied, I want to become a mountaineer, snowboard mountaineer, mountain biker. I've been exploring the mountains. I've raised my 3 daughters who are now starting to go off to college one by one. So I'm actually coming out of. I thought it was a better idea to have a retirement while my kids were young and while my body was able, rather than in my
Nice
70s.
idea.
But I'm coming out of that now at a time when this is happening, and I find it really exciting. I'm like, wow, okay, so we can do this and we can do this, and we've had these big competitors within our software market that have got infinitely more resources than we have, but now they don't, because it's no longer about
Mm,
the development resource. It's about the quality of the ideas, and how well you understand your customers' needs, and we're really really good at that. So I only see opportunity. But back to this kind of negativity, it's a shame. It's like there was this guy. Um, People were talking about this guy, Dan Priestley. You might be aware of him, and there's many others like him. And a lot of his stuff's quite positive. But this one
mm,
post that I saw, um, now is not time for work-life balance. Now is the time to be 100% at work, because it's an arms race. There's this tsunami is coming. You need to scramble to high ground right now, and that means doubling down on AI, because there'll only be a few survivors when this wave recedes. And if you want to be one of those, here's my course. Sign up.
of course.
And like 500 comments of like, oh, it's so insightful. Yeah, yeah, you're absolutely right. We've got, I'm thinking, hang on a minute, like we've just created like tools here that can automate for us. They can, you'd spend like half an hour writing an email. Now you can dictate it and have it done in like, in
Mm,
a couple of minutes. So we've got tools for productivity here, the likes we've never been before. And we're not able to, and we're not able to work a 4-day week. We're not able to take holidays. I was just like, that's really really sad. So but it feels like it's that fear, uncertainty, doubt seems to be selling, and that's my worry. I don't think that's emotionally intelligent. I think we need better, more responsible thought leadership from our business leaders. And if these people are held up to be business, and I say some of his other stuff, it's not all like that. It's just the first thing that I
mm,
happened to come across. But that's not very positive. I think there's a much more positive narrative that speaks to us as humans, which is like this is a golden age for creativity, and we've got tools now to be able to create the lives and the experiences and the products that we want in greater abundance. That's the narrative that we should be all buying into. And so, what do we want to create? What's the future we want to imagine? And so, I think that's for me. that's the way we need to look at it. I think that's an emotionally intelligent way to look at it. It's like we created these tools. You know, these tools are here to serve us. We're not here to get sucked up by the tornado that these the tsunami or the tornado that these tools create. We need to take control, and we need to define the narrative, and we need to define the vision, and we need to screenwrite the future that we're going to act out, rather than keep telling ourselves that we're going to be victims of an unstoppable wave.
So, how can we use stories to change the narrative when AI can just generate endless content? I mean, is storytelling still the best way to stand out?
Yeah, yeah, I think story is really important. And as business leaders, founders, we need to write stories. We shouldn't be telling our stories retrospectively. We shouldn't say, yeah, this is what I did and this is how I did it. It is much more useful to project a story forward and say, this is what's gonna happen when a screenwriter sits down to write a series for Netflix or a Hollywood blockbuster. They write a plot, they write a script, they decide who's going to walk on screen, they decide what they're going to say, where they're going to do, where they're going to go, how it's going to work, and how it's all going to play out. And we do exactly the same, unconsciously or consciously. So you get to choose where you go, who else is there, what you do, what the outcome is going to be. Life is just a manifestation exercise. So if take control of your story, write the story down. How do you want to live the next 5 years? What do you know? Don't just show up for work each day and fire out some stuff and hope things are going to change. No, write your story, and ask the people around you, what they want to do, and then build them into the story. Give them the parts that they want, and then you're all going to go on an adventure together.
Unfortunately, not everyone can take a mini retirement or move to the mountains. But what can people do in their everyday lives to create the same kind of mental space or inspiration or clarity that you've described?
Well, the mountains give, yeah, I mean, get outside more. Don't be stuck to a screen so much. Go and walk the dog. Go for a run. Whatever is important to you. Look, we don't work in these kind of linear blocks of time. Just got back from a trip to Greece, and someone was talking about Chronos versus Kairos. I think it is these two sort of like ideas and concepts of time. And Chronos has only come in recent years, and it's kind of linear time. It's the time that we count with the clock, and business has become obsessed with this, and our calendars and our diaries and our
Mm.
Zoom call blocks and holidays and everything is defined by the Chronos. But when we get into flow, when we get in the zone, we time's different. Time flies when you're having fun, right? You get lost, and 10 minutes can seem like an eternity, and you get your best work done in this elastic kind of form of time. And that's very, very different. So if you use this kairos concept of time, which the ancient Greeks that was the prominent way that they used to think about things. It's when flow hits you, it's when inspiration hits you. That's when you do your best work. So designing your life and your time in that way, I think is really important. Um, if you want to have a balance. Otherwise, you're just going to be stuck in this kind of old, old world, kind of like, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, this many hours. And we're just not productive in that way as humans. It just doesn't work. So we have complete trust with Propellernet. We have an office, but no one really goes to it anymore. People might pop in and out, but they're free to come and go as they please, as long as they get the work done, as long as the client's happy. We don't care how long they spend doing it. They've got unlimited holiday. They can work from wherever they want. There's just trust, because we just believe in the sort of agency and autonomy of each individual to do that. So give yourself. I mean, I remember giving myself permission to operate like that after reading Tim Ferriss's 4-hour working week, where he
Oh,
just
yeah, yeah.
he just deconstructed the 9 to 5.
So how do you decide what to automate and what should stay human? I mean, is that something you consciously think about?
Um, Yeah, I guess, like, what? So one of our tech products coverage book it's an automation product. I mean, I say it's not an AI, but it's just as much an AI, I suppose, as an LLM.
Mm.
It's a tool. You know, LLMs aren't intelligent; they're kind of glorified autocomplete, despite their impressiveness. Um, but so yeah, like in the PR industry, our software would have been a press clippings book before the internet. So you would get coverage for your clients in the magazines and in the newspapers. Someone would cut those out with some scissors and they would stick them into a book, and you put it on your reception, and you say, "Look, here's all the coverage we got, Mr. Client. That's how we're justifying our fees." But
Mm.
since the decline of print media, you needed a digital version of that. So that's what coverage book is. And before our tool existed, the way that you would do that is you'd have to go to different websites, do a screen grab of the image of the coverage that you got, and then use various other tools to try to find out how many people visited this website, how popular is this website, how many followers does this influencer have, and then cut and paste all that into a Word document or a PowerPoint document, which is really boring, really sort of copy paste, like mind numbing
Yeah.
work. And it takes forever, and
Mm.
it looks a bit
I
crap
imagine.
as well. So coverage book, all you do is you get that list of URLs. You know, there are tools to help you find where those URLs are. We don't operate in that space. We do this part of it. You put your list of URLs, and it spits out a beautiful report. It grabs the screen grab for you. It pulls all of the data.
Mm.
It gives you smart metrics, so that then you have a report that you can email. And that liberated. We get a message from our customers going, "You've just saved me so much time. You've given me like a day back a week." It's just liberating, and I like that kind of automation. That's like, it's not fun work. It's annoying work. Someone has to sit there. They could be going home to the kids, but it's the end of the month. They've got to get the reports out, and they're there on a Friday night, not copy and pasting into a PowerPoint document. We don't need that kind of work.
Mm.
I think that's the kind of work that is good for replacing. So that's that tool. I think also replacing, as I said, like I like to move, so like I love having my Chat GPT bot with me when I'm out hiking. I dictate emails, I dictate ideas. I'd much rather be walking along speaking, as opposed to sitting down, or even looking at my phone and using my thumb getting RSI. Um, it's a much nicer way to work. So I think automating those things is definitely a good way to go, and that frees up more of my time to what I call more of a free range human. The other tech product, we're building other tech products. So another really great use we found for automation is this vibe coding. Um,
Mm.
we're full of ideas because we're a creative bunch, and because of the culture I've talked to you about. We value well-being, we value fun, so we're very playful, we're very creative, and we're very innovative. So we're a wellspring of ideas, no shortage of ideas. But of course, the bottleneck is like, okay, that building that product is gonna, we don't have the resources to build that product. Um, Now we have this amazing tool, vibe coding, where
Mm.
we can sit down and say, okay, this is what it is. This is how it works. This is a feature. I want this here. No, not there. Put that there. And you can just slip into that Kairos time that we talked about earlier on, and that,
Yeah, yeah.
by midnight on a Wednesday, you've created a tool. So I think that's great, because like,
Mm.
otherwise you've got to hire developers. It has to get prioritized in the chain. It's expensive, and it's slow, and it's costly, and actually you don't know whether it's going to be any good anyway, or whether anyone else is going to be interested in it, or whether it's going to be of any use to you. But it gives us an MVP. So I love that. I think, the ability to get your MVPs created quickly. And again, that pushes the value back up the chain.
Well, I think it all captures it perfectly. It's not about rejecting AI, but using it consciously, pairing it with humanity, curiosity, creativity. So if you had to summarize, what does the human algorithm really mean to you?
Yeah. And I think that's like getting back into I love the title for this talk, the human algorithm. I think that's often the overlooked part. And it's all the things that we've been exploring. It's wellness, it's balance, it's nutrition, it's mobility, it's exercise, it's connection, it's contribution, it's all these things which help us to kind of self-actualize. And and that's the human algorithm. And if you're able to achieve that within your culture, then you move up this value chain into this kind of imagination space where you can take control of these tools.
Jack, thank you so much. That was really powerful, really grounded way to close today. You brought us back to something simple and easily forgotten. Tools accelerate, humans decide. Emotional intelligence, story presence, these are still the things which make the difference in how teams, clients, and communities experience us. Really appreciate you wrapping up the day with us today. Thank you so much. What,
Absolute
what,
pleasure. Thank you.